Hello everyone, welcome to my update US gossip channel. Meri Brown, the woman who had once been Kody's first and only legal wife, sat in that courtroom with her chin high, eyes blazing with the calm of someone who had finally decided she wasn't going to take it anymore. For years, fans had watched Meri stay silent, hold her composure, and swallow her pride while Kody Brown and Robyn Brown built their own version of a family empire. But on this day, inside the beige walls of a Flagstaff courthouse, Meri's patience had expired. This wasn't about family unity or sister wives ideals anymore. This was about justice, truth, and her voice finally being heard in a setting where Kody's dominance couldn't control the narrative. The courtroom was filled with a thick, tense silence as the judge called the case to order: Meri Brown versus Kody Brown and Robyn Brown, a dispute over alleged mismanagement of funds, shared assets, and what Meri described as emotional and financial manipulation masked as spiritual marriage. For years, the Brown family's Coyote Pass property had been a symbol of hope and later, heartbreak. It was the land where Kody once dreamed all his wives would live side by side, united in plural harmony. But instead, it became a battlefield, both emotional and financial. Meri's name had been on certain documents, her contributions logged, her sacrifices noted, and yet, she claimed she'd been systematically cut out of every decision once she was no longer beneficial to Kody and Robyn's agenda. As Meri spoke, there was no trembling in her voice. She had prepared for this day for months, perhaps even years, gathering every message, every receipt, and every conversation that proved how her loyalty had been exploited. "I was told we were a family," she began, her voice calm but heavy with the weight of betrayal. "I was told that what was mine was ours. But at some point, that stopped being true. What was ours became theirs. And I was left out." Kody's jaw clenched visibly as Meri spoke, his golden curls pulled back tightly, his face wearing that same mix of arrogance and frustration that fans had seen in countless sister wives' confessionals. Robyn sat beside him, her eyes glistening with tears that seemed carefully timed, but the judge didn't seem moved by them. For once, Robyn's emotional influence held no sway in this room. Meri detailed how she had financially supported parts of the family business ventures, how she had loaned money and even co-signed documents during the early years of the Brown family's expansion. "When we started my sister wife's closet," Meri said, "I believed in it because it was supposed to empower all of us. I didn't know the empowerment would only extend to one couple." The courtroom murmured, even the clerk looked up from her notes. Kody tried to interrupt, saying, "This isn't fair, she's twisting everything." But the judge quickly shut him down. "Mr. Brown, you will have your turn." The gavel's thud echoed like a punctuation mark to years of silencing. Meri didn't even glance at him. She continued, speaking about her emotional investment in Coyote Pass, how she helped with the initial payments and believed she would have a home there one day, a fresh start after years of heartbreak. "But that dream died," she said softly, "because it wasn't mine to keep. It was taken." She turned toward Robyn, not in anger, but in something deeper, sadness mixed with truth. "You told me once, Robyn, that you wanted sisterhood. But what you wanted was safety for yourself. You didn't want a family, you wanted control." Robyn began crying harder, whispering something to Kody, but Meri didn't stop. "For years, I stayed silent because I thought maybe I was overreacting, maybe I was bitter, maybe I was the problem. But silence doesn't equal peace, it equals erasure." Her words hung in the air, powerful enough to make even Kody glance away. He had spent years painting Meri as distant, cold, and disconnected, but the woman standing before the court was anything but. She was articulate, grounded, and painfully honest. The judge listened intently, occasionally nodding as Meri laid out evidence, bank statements, text messages, even video clips from the show itself where Kody had admitted to reallocating funds without full family consent. The irony was brutal. The reality show that once helped them build a public image of family harmony was now being used as evidence of deception. Then came the turning point of the hearing. Meri's attorney, a composed woman named Karen Douglas, submitted a set of financial documents showing discrepancies in how funds were transferred from joint accounts into one that Robyn controlled. These transactions occurred shortly after the legal divorce between Kody and Meri, Karen said. and they coincide with the legal marriage between Kody and Robyn Brown. It appears to establish a pattern of asset consolidation under one household, benefiting the Browns legally married to each other, to the detriment of the other partners. The judge's brow furrowed. Kody shifted in his chair, whispering to his lawyer. Meri sat still. The courtroom could almost hear the collective intake of breath as the judge asked, "Mrs. Brown, are you suggesting that Mr. Brown intentionally misled you in financial matters?" "I'm not suggesting it," Meri replied. "I'm proving it." She slid another folder across the table, containing signed agreements that she claimed Kody had manipulated her into signing during emotionally charged conversations. "He told me we needed to transfer my name off certain properties to protect the family. He said it was temporary. It never came back. Neither did the trust." The words cut through the room like glass. Robyn began shaking her head, whispering, "That's not true," but the damage was done. The judge, clearly disturbed, asked the court clerk to mark the documents as exhibits and announced that due to the complexity of the case, an independent investigation would be ordered to determine whether any fraud or coercion occurred during the Browns' asset redistributions. The moment the judge said investigation, Robyn's tears stopped midstream, and Kody's confident posture deflated like a punctured balloon. Outside the courthouse, the cameras were waiting. It wasn't an official TLC crew, but freelance reporters and local journalists who had followed the Browns' drama for years. Meri didn't rush to make a statement. She simply walked past them, shoulders squared, looking freer than she had in a long time. When one reporter shouted, "Meri, are you trying to destroy Kody and Robyn?" she stopped, turned slightly, and said, "I'm not destroying anyone. I'm just telling the truth. The truth has a way of doing the rest." Inside, Kody's temper reportedly exploded once the judge exited the room. "You're vindictive," he shouted, slamming his hand on the table. Robyn tried to calm him, but she looked pale, realizing the court's investigation could expose more than they ever intended to reveal. For years, Kody had kept control of the family finances, portraying himself as the provider and leader, while the wives often relied on him for updates about their shared assets. But if the investigation uncovered that funds were moved deceptively, it could lead to serious legal repercussions, not just for Kody, but also for Robyn, who held joint accounts and benefited from the transfers. Back in her hotel later that day, Meri sat by the window watching the sun dip behind the mountains of Flagstaff. It wasn't victory she felt, it was release. She had loved Kody once deeply, had believed in their plural family dream. She had endured public humiliation, endless speculation, and the pain of watching Kody emotionally detach from her on national television. But this court case wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming her dignity and ensuring that what she helped build wouldn't vanish into the hands of those who had treated her like an afterthought. In her next social media post, Meri wrote only one sentence: "Sometimes closure comes with a gavel, not a goodbye." Fans flooded the comments, cheering her courage, calling her a warrior, a queen, and the woman who finally stood up to Kody and Robyn. Meanwhile, Robyn's tears and Kody's frustration became a trending topic. The public opinion that once viewed Robyn as the quiet, misunderstood wife began to shift again. Many fans recalled earlier seasons where Meri tried to form a relationship with Robyn, only to be pushed aside once Robyn's position in Kody's life solidified. "Now we know why Meri looked so broken back then," one viewer wrote online. "She was fighting a battle she couldn't even name." Another said, "If there's an investigation, that means the judge sees what we've seen for years. Kody plays favorites, and it's always at someone else's expense." Kody, for his part, tried to defend himself in a statement posted to his social media account. "This is a misunderstanding blown out of proportion," he wrote. "Our family finances were always transparent, and Meri is being manipulated by people who want to hurt me." The statement backfired spectacularly. Fans flooded his comments with screenshots from old Sister Wives episodes showing him making unilateral decisions about money and property. Even former Brown family insiders began speaking anonymously to entertainment outlets, confirming that Kody often moved funds without fully consulting all the wives. As the legal process continued, the independent financial investigator assigned to the case reportedly began examining not only Kody Pass but also the business structure behind my sister-wife's closet and other ventures. The judge's decision to dig deeper sent shockwaves through the Brown family's fragile unity. Janelle, who had always been more pragmatic, reportedly texted Meri privately after the hearing, saying, "You did what needed to be done." Christine, now living her happily ever after with David Woolley, also showed support online, liking several posts that praised Meri's courage. It was poetic justice in a way. After years of Kody accusing Meri of being the problem, she was now the one holding him accountable in a court of law. The next hearing was set for 6 weeks later, and anticipation grew like wildfire. Legal analysts speculated that if